I'm gonna preface this entire video by saying they cannot win us back. I have zero faith in the game. Even if they bring out Rune Wards, I have zero faith. I have zero faith. I have zero faith. I have zero faith. Okay.
Season 2 dev stream overview. All right, here we go.
So let's see it.
Hi everyone, it's Rax. I want to throw a quick note here. I've been up for about 32 straight hours.
I have zero
if
faith.
I seem a little tired or off, it's now you know why. Today was an important day for Blizzard. We just got done listening to the first of 2 broadcasts talking about the future of Diablo 4 and what they're going to do in Season 2. This was 2 hours, and they got another 2-hour one on the 10th.
You guys see the chat.
It's no secret that Diablo 4 has fallen out of favor with a gigantic portion of their audience.
I saw this. Let me see if I can pull it up.
Big True. Let me mute my WoW.
I mean, man. Man.
Okay, to be fair though, that's just natural aging, and he's probably like 30 when he started, and like you change physically a lot when you go from like 30 to like 40 something maybe or whatever. Unless that's like 2 years, then he was like 38 hitting 40 or something. But damn, I mean, yeah, that's
They're really having a good time over there, huh?
Yeah. Well, because no one likes being told their game is shit, especially when they spend a lot of time on it. And you know they feel like what they're doing is just gonna be crapped on no matter what they do. And so it's like, I hate being here. I don't want to be here. I have to be here. Whereas like initially, everyone's excited because everyone was waiting for Diablo 4. Oh my god, I can't wait for it to come out. It's gonna be great. And then it wasn't. So with a big franchise like Diablo 4, you really have to put out a really good product. Otherwise, yeah, you're going to get like diehard fans to, you know, post like hate threads on Reddit and stuff, right? I mean, yeah.
And I've even been playing Last Epoch, blasting it for 2 straight weeks. I'm going to start to pump out all the content for that game. So I was watching this broadcast, with a very neutral.
Joe is sleepy now.
I went into it just memeing the fuck out of him. Like we had we had a bingo up. We had everything ready. Like I was expecting it to just be a complete joke.
Wait.
They were gonna. I went into it just memeing the fuck out of him.
So this is
like we had a bingo up.
Okay, so just to clarify, they had you know, one of those open dev discussions, like a stream on Twitch, and I guess they talked about the progression of the game, like where it's headed, what's going to be in store for new seasons, for patches, and this is the you know, review of said updates. Yeah, so that's where we're at.
We had everything ready.
So,
like I was expecting.
Okay, and this is D4 Bingo, so if you guys probably know, but if you don't, Asmongold does a D4 Bingo where people suggest certain things that they may or may not talk about. So they put it into a formation of a bingo card, and yeah, you know how bingo goes, right? So doesn't look like it hit, unfortunately. Maybe it did. You count that like crisscross over here? Maybe. I don't know. But let's see. World Tier 5. Nope. BlizzCon. Yep. Accidental mention of Diablo Immortal. It's funny. Mob density. Okay, so something with mob density. Maybe increased it. Maybe decreased it. Understand that players. That's pretty good. Campaign bosses added as Uber bosses. That's cool. New KFC promo. Would have been cool if it was like a chicken level, secret KFC level or something. Battle Pass, obviously. We hear you. Oh, no, that's not good. That's like one of their generic responses. Okay. Showing off new cosmetics, of course. More money that you spend in the shop. Resists. Okay, I wonder what they talked about there. Rod makes a joke. Okay, no jokes. It's not a joking matter because D4 is bad. Lol. Uber unique target farming. Okay, that is really good. That is really good because that's what everyone liked in D2, where like you knew like you would kill certain bosses for certain rewards. So you're not just like aimlessly farming and it feels like, you know, it's too much farming. There's such a thing as too much farming. Reskin mobs. I don't think anyone cares about that, but okay, interesting. Stash tab combo. Ooh, okay. So just for you guys that don't know, the stash tab combo, long story short, like they program the game for some reason to open up like when you're, I think it was whenever you open up your stash, or no, whenever you like load into a new area, the reason why you would lag or DC is because like you're loading in everyone else's stash or something like that. You guys can fact check me or correct me in the comments below. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what that is. So they talked about it. That's a good sign. But did they fix it or will they? Who knows?
It to just be
now
a
you're all caught up, pretty
complete
much.
joke. Like they were gonna announce like something stupid. It was gonna talk about Diablo Immortal. Like I was expecting it to be awful.
Yeah.
Diablo 4 fixes everything and wins everybody back. That would be a fantastic result. And if they don't, then I'll play Last Epoch and PoE and PoE 2 and life goes on.
Yeah.
So
exactly. Like, see, Diablo 4 doesn't have the luxury of not making a quality product because there are so many other these are ARPGs, I believe, that are just better. So if they want to keep competitive in the ARPG scene, they need to make the game good. Pretty simple.
Definitely want you to make your own judgments here, but
for sure,
I guess I'm not going to be able to hide it. I was genuinely surprised by the presentation that they gave today. The number of changes that they were able to make in just a short period of time does not align with anything that I've seen them develop for the game before. So whether that means that they called all hands on deck, or whether that means that they pulled a bunch of stuff that they had coming later in the pipeline to shove it all into Season 2.
Well, yeah, that's the best thing, is that's the good thing about, because you've got to remember, why does Blizzard make Diablo 4? They make Diablo 4 for money. It's not like this is like a passion project for them or anything like that.
Yeah.
Bobby, like whenever Bobby finds out that Diablo 4 isn't having people buy battle passes, there are going to be heads on the chopping block tomorrow. Okay? Like people are going to be working 80 hours a week to make sure Bobby doesn't lose money because of lost battle passes, all right? So, yeah, they're not going to let this shit happen.
Yeah.
And this is going to be especially more the case with Microsoft, I bet. I mean,
100%. And especially if they are combining with Microsoft or being bought by Ubisoft, whatever it is, and then absorbed by Microsoft, like they do not want a failed product. Especially if they're pumping, you know, Battle Pass cosmetics, which cost them money, into the game. And they plan on doing that for a long time. And thankfully, the players aren't buying the battle passes anymore because otherwise they wouldn't even talk about this. There'd be no issue and life would just be going on as normal. So clearly, obviously, there's a mega decline in the game player base, and they need to do something about it or they're losing money. Potential earnings, right?
Say that, but then look at how they let 343 ruin Halo. Maybe they won't make that mistake twice. But yeah.
D5 soon? I don't know about that.
Get people hooked. I'm not exactly sure. I don't know the internal practices of Blizzard. But let me share with you what they shared with us today in the first part of the live streams, and let me see if you agree that this is a massive amount of changes.
Okay.
So the first thing is they started with the season.
And just to prefix this, massive amount of changes doesn't necessarily mean good ones. Just because you change a lot of things doesn't mean that, you know, they're good changes. And that it's going to make the game better. You know? Like, if Humpty Dumpty falls off the wall and all the egg, you know, shell pieces shatter it doesn't matter how I, arrange them on the floor. They're still on the floor, and Humpty Dumpty is shattered, right? And it doesn't matter if I break them into smaller pieces, or even combine the pieces, together again. He's still broken. D4 is still a bad game, but let's see.
Theme, and in general, for the presentation, the season theme seemed a little lackluster. You run around as a vampire, you kill stuff, you get vampiric powers. They have a new game mode that's kind of like Helltide, but it does start at level 1 that you might be able to use to farm up, and you'll see
that
there's
was
a
more
ton
cheap.
of other world
Wouldn't solve the
overworld
problem. But
It's
yeah.
Helltide, but it's a different color. So you can imagine like Helltide, right? But like instead of it being red, it's like this like dark bluish gray. Yeah. Gray Tide? Yeah. Yeah, kind of like that. Like, yeah.
However, after the presentation, I went through and I read all of the powers.
Tide, yeah.
If you actually read through some of these, they actually seem quite powerful. So, for example, Anticipation, just your ultimate skills get 20% cooldown reduction, and increased damage. I don't even care about that.
Anything to make your character more powerful, we like that.
For example, the Tornado Druid to just stay in the werebear form.
That's what we want. Like this game is like a farming game. You got to make players feel like they are killing mobs very quickly, and especially because of how annoying it is to farm certain legendaries in the game as it is. Just other ways of making characters feel powerful is great, because the one thing I really don't like about D4 is like you get to a certain level, like level 40, and let's just say you got really lucky, you found all your best legendaries. Congrats. Now you hit like level 45, and now the scaling is way off. So even with all this crazy gear, you feel weak again. And you have to find like maybe actually one time you can convert your legendary powers to another piece of gear. So let's say you do that for 45, and then you get to 50, and now you feel weak again. And you have to find all new gear with all those legendary powers, and then you can feel powerful again. I hate that because it takes forever. It takes forever. And I want to feel strong now. I don't want to wait. Or at least like a unreasonable amount of time. That's for sure. I think that, some people don't like this take, but I think that they had a really good system in the beta with the legendary drop, because the legendary drop, even though it was high, you're not getting the legendaries that you need. So at least you're getting something maybe, and maybe I'll try this build now that I have this legendary, right? At least you're having something, because something is better than nothing.
With a rampaging werebeast forever,
True or false?
You might be able just to be perma bear. And taking a look at another one. Casting a skill heals you for 3% of your life. Any skill. This might be able to keep you alive on the Uber bosses. And if you read through these, I'll make a video analyzing them very in depth and what builds they can go in.
Right.
But in general, when I actually read through the
Unless you
powers,
get spam ability.
they were actually a lot stronger than I thought they would be. I can think of a lot of potentially crazy combinations. For example, there's a lot of minion stuff, and there's
the Coven's Fangs is really good. 52% increased damage.
There's a lot of synergies here, so if you can acquire a couple of these, and Necro Minion might be shitting on the game next season. So in the presentation, I thought the vampire thing was kind of a snooze fest, but then I read the powers and it got a little bit better. Okay, I don't think there's too much more I want to talk about here. There are Uber bosses, but we'll go to the other blog post which explains it better. There's new mounts. Look, you can get Rapidash. You can get Rapidash from the Uber bosses and other cool stuff.
Nice.
And then
That's cool though. Any incentives to kill bosses, that's always good.
All right, let's talk about all the changes. So they have 5 new endgame bosses,
which is good.
And they showed a progression system of how you would fight the bosses, and it culminates in fighting Uber Duriel. But all of the bosses have their own unique drops, and Uber Duriel can drop the Uber uniques to the point where people are going to have them. People in your clan are going to have them. People on your friends list are going to have them.
I think that, like, that's all good. Like, all of these things are good.
They're not going to drop every time, but it is possible to get a Shaco now and a Grandfather.
Yep.
Another thing that is tied into these bosses is you're going to see they're going to make an item progression change. They said it's the first of many that they have planned.
Here we go.
This is just a small piece of the puzzle. But since the item progression felt so bad, I've made many comments many times saying that
we literally
you have
just said
full
that
gear by the time you're level 75 and you don't hunt for anything. Well, now the
Wait,
min
what?
and the max ranges of item power shift as you do harder content, which ultimately means that
Which is the way the game should be. You should be able to get better gear whenever you do harder content. That's the way the game should work.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're
That's
saying.
what makes sense.
Okay.
This is the way that PoE...
I think you're saying he was keeping the same gear because he was finding like the same or shit gear on the higher content, so he was just keeping the same gear maybe. And what they're changing now is that like when you kill the higher scaled content, you're getting better gear and better stats and stuff. I think that's what they mean. Hopefully.
is. You're not getting item level 86 bases if you're doing white maps.
Yeah.
get level 920 gear when you're doing really hard stuff. The Uber uniques that drop off of Duriel are guaranteed to be level 920. So if you finally do get the Shaco off of Duriel, then you're going to be blasted.
Yeah.
So that's something that's very exciting to look forward to. And for those of you that are wondering, they said that Uber Duriel will be easier than Uber Lilith because you have to farm some things to go fight him. You can't just walk in his door and fight him. So they wanted it to be a little bit easier. They wanted it to be accessible. This makes sense to me. Okay.
Uber Lilith would be... A massive nerf to Uber Lilith would be making the mechanics accurate and visible. Like, can you imagine how much that would nerf the boss if you could just see where you need to go? Dude, that would be fun.
Sorry, I fell off the boat. I somehow fell in between the crack of the boat and the dock, and wow, I don't know how it happened, but I gotta back up a little bit because I didn't hear that.
This makes sense.
My apologies.
Okay.
Uber Lilith would be a massive...
My
nerf
editor
to
doesn't
Uber
exist.
Lilith
We'll
would be
edit
making the mechanics accurate and visible. Like, can you imagine how much that would nerf the boss if you could just see where you need to go? Dude, that would be fucked up.
I mean, that's a lot of the complaints that I've had people telling me in chat are that they can't see what the heck is going on when you play Diablo. So yeah, I think making things more visible is definitely a good thing. More telegraphed, I think that's fine. I don't see anything wrong with that. Because sometimes there really is just too much going on the screen for people. So yeah, I think that would be fine. I don't see anything wrong with that.
They're changing some endgame activities.
Yeah.
Legion events, they're going to come up more often. And same thing with
If the boss works as nerf,
This is fine. This doesn't make a huge difference. Legion events are one of the best events in the game for leveling up,
they're really
like
good.
1 to 50.
I mean, it's not
And
supposed to be
believe
easy
didn't
as
they
Uber
say,
boss.
I think there was another change that they made a month ago
So
that gives you a guaranteed legendary when you do it.
like you're not supposed to go to the ending content and then just roll over it and then you're done playing. It should be challenging. But that is one of those mechanics where, you know, you see it and you're like, and then you like learn for next time what to do. It's not like one of those mechanics where, you know, you're going to see it on the first pull. They might intentionally want you to wipe and remember that. And maybe there's a pattern to it, right? I didn't play Diablo 4 enough because I ended up stopping because I thought it was dog shit. Yeah, and I didn't want to like farm for years in that game. But yeah, maybe there's a pattern or something that you just have to make yourself aware of, and then you know it for, you know, progression on the boss when you kill it.
So
when you're killing.
Again, at a certain level. So low level Legion events could be a very viable way of leveling up. One theme you're going to see here, I guess you're going to see massive buffs everywhere. But
I also think it's good to make alt leveling fast. Like, even if it's per season, you get your first character to max level the right way or whatever, or just get a character to 60. And then there should be like oh, if you want to spam Legion events, kind of like what they did in WoW. I mean, in WoW, you skip the campaign and you can just do world quests and stuff, or quests if you want, and you're caught up. You don't have to like do something that you've already done. I love that because no one wants to do it over again. And or if they do, they have the option to. But for people who don't, they have the option to not. Give people the option. I think that's great.
Especially going to see massive buffs to the overworld.
And that's what they pretty much advertise the game is. You can do whatever you want.
And this is one of the sad things is I felt like
Open
the
world and all
overworld
that.
for Diablo 4 became kind of irrelevant whenever you could teleport directly to Nightmare Dungeons. Like, there was no reason to go out in the world. And I think that you should want to go out in the world. And you should want to see other players and stuff like that. I think that's cool.
Yeah, but what's not cool is the game lagging every time you had to load everyone else's stashes. And, yeah, that's just not cool. Nobody likes that. Did I have the flight path ready here? Sure. I think I did.
Overworld is they're going to have a new Helltide event with a season theme. This Legion event is an overworld event. World Boss, you could call it an overworld event. Okay, so those are going to come up more often. They said that Golden Experience is going to increase tremendously for Helltide and cashing the Grim Favors and the Whispers. Again, unless you're...
And this is another big problem the game had, is that all of the other activities outside of Nightmare Dungeons paled in comparison to Nightmare Dungeons. They were just so much better than everything else that there was no reason to do anything else except for Nightmare Dungeons.
Doing a Dungeon Whisper, all of this is overworld. And they said the gold increase is tremendous from turning.
Tremendous.
So that will help. Nightmare Sigils, okay, that's nice. Doesn't really matter. Helltide chests are going to have specific icons.
Right.
The Whisper caches actually give you the loot that they say that they're going to. They should have always done. Okay.
Yeah, should have always done that.
Experience and monster leveling. Okay, we can read through all of this. Here's the simple summary. You will be able to reach level 100 40% faster, which is a tremendous increase. And it comes...
Well, they're clearly doing this because people are just like... People probably hit like 77. And they're like, I have to go all the way to 100. And then they just quit the game.
Yeah.
And I think that people that just like give up, I don't think that's good for the game. Yeah, it's a big W. You want people to hit level 100. Like, you've got to keep in mind, Diablo 4 is a casual game. It's a game made for casual players. So how...
I was one of those people that quit because it's just not realistic especially for people who have a 9-to-5 and, wife and kids or whatever the case may be, just don't have the time to play, and you buy this battle pass and you're never going to hit 100. So you never get the full rewards from it. I think I got up to like level battle pass, like, I don't even know, maybe like definitely like around or below 20. And I was like, nah, no thanks. Game's boring. I don't want to do this again.
How is it
and
possible that you have this game that has...
So if I'm thinking that, you have everybody else thinking that, then they don't make money off the battle passes, but they're still paying to create content for the battle passes. Well, that's not good for the company's profits, is it?
Unattainable things. Yeah, it got to 70, 80. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's somewhere around there. That's exactly what happened to me. I'm at 76. Yep, there you go. Because that's whenever you start doing the math, you have 80% of your power. Do you want to play twice as long to get the other 20%? Probably not.
From the density, and they've added...
And they nerfed the Nightmare Dungeon farming that people were doing in the beginning to hit max, so there's that. Fun detected.
Actually, whenever there's... And the other problem is, like, there's no other content in the game besides, like, oh, well, I can go kill Uber Lilith. Like, oh, okay. Like, and get what?
And they've changed some of them to be multiplicative with the world tier bonus.
I don't mind
if any of you casuals out
Nightmare
there were
Dungeons
saying, wow, I
you,
made a
or the Nightmare
character and
Sigils
I didn't have any
teleporting
item
to the
progression,
dungeon. I don't
which
mind
you can
that.
see later. They're going to change that.
Yeah.
I couldn't farm my Tempest Roar. They changed that. Now you can target farm with each individual boss. You can like find which boss has a Tempest Roar, fight him, and get your Tempest Roar. I could never get.
Yeah, this is how it always should have been, and I'm just glad they're adding it now. What does multiplicative mean? So you have 10%, right? 100%, 10% of 100% is 110%, right? Let's say you have 200%. Well, 10% of 200%, is that 210% or 220%? Right? So additive is 210%, multiplicative is 220%. Does that make sense? No? Okay. Just a sec.
$200 plus 10.
You're writing it wrong, but I get what you mean. Oh, use the plus for additive?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So that's basically what it works. And so multiplicative scaling. So like, let me show you why this is important, right?
It's 200% plus 10%.
So let's say 2000% plus. We're just gonna do plus. 10%.
Go to the wrong one.
Equals 2,200%. Okay. 2,000% times 10% for additive is going to be, and this is the big difference, right? Is 210%. So you can see how whenever you have larger numbers, the additive bonuses become increasingly worse. Yes. And whenever you have smaller numbers, the additive bonuses become increasingly better versus multiplicative. So because Diablo is a game of 2,000% and not 5%,
it's C-A-C-I-V-E.
That's why multiplicative scaling is so much more powerful. Because it's literally the difference of 190%. Can you explain why it's called additive and multiplicative? Additive is because it's just simply being added to the total amount. Multiplicative because it's multiplying the total amount by the percentage. Yeah, it's under 100%, then additive is better now. Well, it depends on the... I think so, but yeah. Thanks to info, didn't know it. Yeah, a lot of people don't understand it very well. So that's basically what... that's the way it works. Are you saying me and calculations are fucked? I mean, it doesn't really matter. I think if somebody can't understand it based off of this, then they're just stupid.
The Uber Uniques, well, now you can target farm them from Duriel. You know, they're trying to listen to the feedback and fix it for you. So you're going to be able to get to 100 way easier. Nightmare Dungeons, they made a ton of changes here. So first of all, this is huge for anybody that doesn't have a great PC, or anybody really. I have a great PC, and this is still amazing.
Well, it's also because it's annoying. Like, nobody wants to sit through 2 different loading screens, right?
Yeah.
I think that's really the main thing. Like, that's I think the main thing. Like, whenever I saw the Nightmare Dungeon change, I was like, I was really surprised that they did that, because I actually thought that the reason they wanted you to go through 2 loading screens is they wanted to see more ads.
Now you port inside of the Nightmare Dungeon instead of outside of it. That saves you an entire loading screen every time you do one of these. That's massive. Should have been like that from the beginning.
Also true.
Not giving nightmare sigils. Okay, that's fine. This is maybe the biggest change in the entire patch. Objectives have been removed from some of the dungeons. Only defeating the boss is needed.
This is all people ever wanted. Having to rescue 7 prisoners every single time that you did a nightmare dungeon was insanely fucking annoying. Like, it was just so crazy.
I have probably been the most vocal.
Depending on the class you were, like the prisoner, I was never safe. The prisoners were dying. That's just pretty much the reality. The prisoners were dying. Like 100%. The prisoners are just fucked, bro. It's definitely a stretch to, especially with the gear that you have sometimes too, like you just can't save them all. So at least the one, like the events where you had like 3 prisoners, it never worked out for me. It never worked out for me, so just keeping it 100 hundo P on that. But yeah.
about this in the community about, I talked to Blizzard many times. I made many YouTube videos saying, Blizzard, half of the reason why, well, not half, but a reason why people find Nightmare Dungeons so annoying is because you're making us free 7 prisoners.
He fucking knows. He knows exactly
that
what
one?
it was. Yep, there you go.
Yeah. Okay, that's not the same as the events, but yeah.
So brutal. No one
I get what
likes
you're
doing
saying.
that. At the best, give us 2 prisoners or something.
Yeah.
Well, they took that a step further, and they just straight up said that they're going to remove a lot of the objectives out of the dungeons. And they actually specifically said on the live stream, Rax, are you watching this one? And I almost had a tear in my eye. So if any of you get sick of freeing those stupid-ass prisoners
true.
or carrying those orbs around and placing them on the pedestals, you're welcome. Multiple Nightmare Dungeon afflictions have been updated. They just made them better. Backstabber is not going to one-shot you anymore. Critical resist is now like a debuff, since it's now a time debuff instead of always applying, so you can kind of play around it. They nerfed Death Pulse. Lightning Storm now is going to give you a movement speed bonus for getting zapped inside of it, so you don't feel like you lost all that time standing in it like a dumbass.
Yeah, I think that like every single one of these changes, what it indicates to me is that the Blizzard developers finally played the game. That's all we asked. Like, we didn't ask for them to reinvent the wheel. We didn't ask for them to redefine the ARPG genre.
True.
We just asked, please play the game. Just see it for yourself. And these are like the annoying pain points that happen.
This thing, I made a comment. I don't know if this is going to exactly fix the problem. The protection dome, it only starts if it has a direct path to the player. But a lot of the times that you die to this affix is when you are about to walk into one of those sealed events, and the dome spawns and you're already walking, and boom, and then it ports you into the room and the dome's outside and you die. Or you're about to climb down a ladder, you're about to click it, and boom, the dome spawns. You have a direct path to it, but then you go down the ladder, and then you just die on the ladder.
Yeah, it's like I remember Blind Burrows was like that. Is that you had to go through like 3 different ladders, and like I remember one time the second I clicked the ladder, it did the ding, and I'm like, oh fuck. And I had to go back up, and I was halfway up the ladder, and it fucking killed me.
So that's another thing that they should consider. They said that they've massively reworked the backtracking, not just with the layout of the dungeon, but where they have put where certain objectives need to be done. Some of the objectives were in very obscure corners of the dungeon and not along the main path that most people take.
Yeah.
So when you're doing a Nightmare Dungeon, you shouldn't be backtracking as much. And believe me, if we start backtracking, we'll just complain.
Yeah.
True.
Anything else here? You can get your Paragon glyphs up higher much easier.
I don't think
because they have to do that. Because if you're going to fly to 100, then you're going to have baby glyphs if they don't increase the XP.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's actually a good point Rax brings up. Yeah, you have to do that.
Easier to level these up. Another reason why they need to level
I didn't even finish the paragraph. The Paragon glyphs because didn't hit max.
The overworld, the world bosses, the Helltide, the Whispers, the more XP, the more gold, the season theme. They want you to interact with the open world more. And so you can't do that if you're forced to be in Nightmare Dungeons perpetually leveling your glyphs. So they needed to do this for 2 reasons. All right. The events. So the events in the dungeons are going to be more worthwhile. This is, I think, needed and important because the events are supposed to be something that you should be excited about. But when I did my analysis in my sheet, which I know a lot of you use,
nobody ever does the events because they're not fun, and then the mobs die in one hit, and you never complete them.
Okay,
and then whenever you do, it takes
this is
too
what I'm
long.
saying.
Yeah, the events are just a waste of time.
And then the loot you get from his shit.
Sometimes, like, for example, there's the one cursed chest event where, like, it spawns a million fucking mobs, right?
Uh-huh.
And like that one's really fun.
Yeah.
But the majority of them are not fun at all.
Yeah. Even the cursed chest one, like when I was my Sork build, like it wasn't easy to kill them all because they weren't like stacking up perfectly, and like outside of your like ultimate ability, like it was actually like hard to clear that, to get all 5 waves, to get the cursed chest like double loot, right? To get the bonus chest. So I don't know though. I'm like super casual D4. So I wasn't like, I don't know like what mob drops what legendary. Like with D2, like there was just enough people that played it, right? That was like, oh, you kill this mob, like you kill Mephisto and he drops Shaco or whatever, right? Like was that who it was? But you know what I mean? Like that was like a known thing in the community to like farm certain acts and certain bosses to get like certain loot. In D4 there's like no table of context for that. Saw like one YouTube short about it. And it wasn't every item obviously, but I realized like these pants I wanted, I was farming the wrong fucking mobs, like I was never going to get it. And I would have never known. So, yeah. Like fuck.
Concluded that most of the events were not worth doing.
Because
Again,
it just
It's
takes forever.
bad news because for people that like to do nightmare dungeons, not everybody just wants to grind dungeons. Some people only want to be in the overworld. Some people want to do both, whatever. But the people that want to grind nightmare dungeons, the events in the dungeons are your way to acquire some things that you otherwise would have to go to the overworld to farm.
Yeah.
Like flowers, for example, for your potions. So making the dungeons more worthwhile is definitely the right move, in my opinion. The NPC should no longer be killed. It doesn't matter if you win or...
Well, it just makes it to where, like, you don't feel like you're wasting your time doing an event. Like, that's all there is to it. It's just, yeah, the worst thing is you kill something with poison damage. Sometimes they very slowly melt into the pool, and the next wave won't spawn until it's done. Yeah, it's just like there's a lot of just, like, little annoying things that, again, if the developers that were making the game play tested it themselves, they would be instantly annoyed and it would be changed instantly. That's it.
Lose an event, you seem to get the same rewards anyway. I don't even know why this matters. But there's another major problem with events. If there's anyone from Blizzard watching, there's another huge problem that I hope that you will fix.
What is it?
The problem is when you walk into the room, the NPCs oftentimes have dialogue. Help! I'm trapped! There's a monster after me. Okay, then the event starts. Then when the timer hits 0, if the NPC survives, which is why I usually try to let them die, they say, "Oh, thank you so much. How can I repay you? Oh, here, take this." And then the treasure chest spawns. Then you can click it. Then you loot it, and then you're leaving. I think all of this needs to be completely abolished. Maybe you enable it only for World Tier 1, the beginner player.
I don't think that's a problem, actually, because like a lot of people probably aren't going to be paying attention, so having the NPC say something is okay. I think that the problem is I think it's the chest.
That's like speedrunning strat shit. Like, yeah, most of your like normal players or casual players aren't going to care about that. But it's nice, but I thought like if you let them die, then like you get less of a reward, so you don't want to let them die, right? Isn't that how that goes?
The reward isn't very good.
Yeah,
because,
maybe
like, you would
I don't
have
know.
no problem
Maybe the word
waiting
just
for
sucks.
a chest
period.
that was like a Helltide mystery chest, right? You'd have no issue with that. I think it's the chest reward sucks.
But on World Tier 2, 3, 4, anything beyond, the event needs to start. The 60-second timer needs to start the moment you cross into that room. And the second it reads 0.
I don't know if they can do that. Like, I'm concerned that if they do that, then a lot of the people that are like kind of casual won't be able to like react to it quick enough. And like they'd be like, "Oh shit, this just happened. I wasn't really paying attention." Like, that's kind of why I'm concerned about them doing that. I don't know.
The NPC needs to disappear.
They should probably do like A/B testing with this and like implement some events that are exactly the way that Rax says and see how players respond to them. And if players are completing the events that are the way that Rax wants them to be, then they should just make the rest of the events like that as well. if there's like a big disparity. Because I think that he could be right, but I also am concerned that it could create like weird, confusing moments for like casual players.
Drop the chest instantly. That's going to save like 10 seconds on a lot of events, and that starts to add up. Please, events start instantly and they end instantly. Please put that into the game.
Yeah,
I agree with that. It's like filler stuff.
They freed up inventory space by putting your gems into a different menu. The way that they did this is actually pretty smart. Because they have a bunch of fragments. You can craft a gem that you need, and you can put it in your gear.
Yeah.
So you have to craft it into an item. So this is going to eliminate you picking them up in your inventory all the time. But then, if you have a gem crafted, and then you say, oh, you don't need this piece of gear anymore, and you salvage it, now you have that stupid, annoying gem, you can salvage the gem into the materials, and it goes back into the menu. So that's a pretty nice quality of life thing. Another thing people are going to ask is, and it was asked on the live stream, when are we going to get more stash tabs? They said that they don't have an announcement right now.
Joe Shelley answered that question. So we don't know anything more than what we knew before the question was asked. I think somehow, actually, it's crazy. I think actually we know less. Like, at this point, like, I don't even know what a stash tab is anymore.
But they did say they were considering that codex change. If they implemented that codex change, if you haven't heard about it, where the legendary powers can be extracted, you can level up the legendary powers so you don't have to stack the affixes in your stash, and you only actually keep good items, that would free up a tidal wave stash space, among other things that they could do. So they said that they have nothing to announce on that right now, but they're looking at it. So
naturally
hopefully soon. Okay, Scrolls of Escape automatically cast for hardcore characters when you DC. That's nice.
It sounds like
that's something that should have been on the game. Like a lot of these things should have been in the game on release. That definitely is one of them. But you know, I'm glad that they're doing it.
Being locked in certain areas, locked into certain stats on a legendary item, by reducing their overall enchanting cost. This is the problem. The problem with enchanting is not the initial cost of the enchant.
It's a scaling.
It's the fact that every enchant after that just goes up and up and up and up. And even with the
it's the exact same problem they had with Azurite gear in BFA. Is the respecs just doubled. And whenever you double it for the 30th time, it doesn't matter what number you start with, you've got a big number to deal with.
Increased gold on the Whispers, people are going to run out of gold instantly.
Yeah, they ain't have a cap.
That they have nerfed the rate at which the rerolls increase, so now you're not going to get stuck and feel like you can't reroll your legendaries anymore. Now, I do think that it's a good idea in the game to have gold valuable.
Yeah, true.
That makes sense to me. Gold should be a valuable resource. But this re-rolling and the exponential increases or whatever, that was ridiculous. So I'm glad that they're
it's not even really an exponential increase. It's like this, bro. It just goes up. And like this is a lot. Right? And what they should do is like this. What's this? Not as much. It is exponential though, I'm pretty sure. I don't think it is. I think it just adds a flat rate. Like it just adds an increasingly larger amount.
Back. I don't think they should make this trivial though. I think this should cost you something. I think that's good for the game. So here's a crazy thing. I cannot believe that they did this. And this is in a good way. They are now going to drop shitty normal magic and non-sacred rares as crafting resources in World Tier 3 and 4. This is like like a shitty pseudo loot filter where all the garbage loot that drops will just be salvaged and you get it as crafting materials.
Yeah.
They implemented this in the final season of D3 to see if people liked it, and people absolutely loved it. With all those shitty yellows that drop and the whites and the blues that you would never pick up. And if you do pick it up, you're like, God, why did I pick this up? Just auto salvages it for you and gives you the materials for it. If this works how we all interpreted it, it should be godly.
It's a massive improvement. It's like every blue that you would pick up, you automatically just pick it up because it's a consumable. It's like auto salvage, basically. It's a really good idea. I'm actually glad they're doing this.
The game, it should
it's
be
a Giga W. It
huge
is
quality of life increase, and hopefully not that many items are coming into your inventory.
Okay.
Along with the gems, makes looking at the items easier.
For sure.
Stash management a little bit better. Then when they give us the stash tabs and the loot filter one day, then we'll really be pumping.
Yeah, but again, these are all like these are like improvements for sure. But like, I'm not like, oh, yo, I'm like super excited to play the game now, you know. But it's a step. We'll say it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah. So now the item power can go to 920. This is going to help you with your item progression. The whisper caches can now give you higher item powers along with Helltide. Again, notice they're buffing the overworld. Another thing, I don't know if we're going to get to it here. Yeah, mounts. Okay. They're going to massively buff mounts as well. Miscellaneous improvements.
That's good.
So here, okay, if I'm reading this correctly, we didn't learn about this on the stream. They're going to give you all 5 levels of renown if you've completed them for every season. Mm-hmm. All earned renown is going to persist through seasons and characters. Surprise, we read this here. It says it does not apply to hardcore characters, and it's called hardcore for a reason. Okay, so let me
I think that farming renown, I don't know why hardcore players have to refarm renown. I think this is just like another one of the examples to this was corrected. Oh, wait, have they fixed it now? Hardcore carries over too? Wait, did they fix it? They changed it? Oh, okay, never mind.
Softcore people don't have to repeat the renown.
Yeah.
Hardcore players do because it's hardcore. Philosophically, I completely disagree with this. Let me explain why. You can do almost all of the renown in the game, almost all of it, in World Tier 1, mindlessly farming, dungeons, and side quests. There is no actual challenge other than the mental challenge or the exhaustion of doing the renown for the 10th time.
Yeah.
The reason why hardcore doesn't feel like hardcore
it's called hardcore for a reason.
Is because
hardcore, dude, like, okay, but that's like the wrong part of hardcore. Like, hardcore is like no deaths. It doesn't mean like give you tedious fucking boring shit that you have to do. That's not like, that's just boring shit content. Bro, that doesn't make it hardcore because you gotta do shit that you fucking hate doing. You know? Like, what? That's crazy. That's how they define hardcore. Doing shit that you absolutely fucking hate doing and would never want to do in your entire life. Yeah, that's hardcore, bro. I guess. Fuck. I guess that's like fucking classic WoW ranking. Back in the day, it's just like dumping out like a year of your life to fucking get rank 14. Okay, well, it's not a year, but it took a while.
Because you have so many cheat deaths and the cheat death potion and the scroll of escape and this and that and this and that. I understand that you want to have these items in the game so hardcore players can attempt uber bosses. Fine. But if I were you, I would nerf that. It wouldn't make...
I agree. I think that hardcore games with a cheat death is stupid. Yeah, I think it's just stupid. Like, it's not really hardcore. Like, I know a logout macro I think is fine. Because, like, a logout macro is a reaction. Cheat death is a protection. So, like, you do nothing and cheat death occurs. Whereas whenever you have a logout macro, you have to instantly respond to what's happening. Does that make sense? So, like, for example, like using a potion at the beginning of a dungeon that protects you from getting killed.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any skill or, like, sense in that.
Right.
But like being able to use a logout macro whenever you know that you might die, there is more skill in that because you have to like dynamically make a decision in the heat of the moment versus like just using a potion that.
Yeah, that's fine, but I mean, it's kind of like abusing a game mechanic that's not really there for you to use to like save yourself from death. So you know what I mean? It's like, come on, come on, man. You know, I that's in like poor taste, but I do think that it is cool, and if you do it, like then cool, like whatever, no big deal. The other, I don't know what the alternative it is you just die and you have to make another character, because you could potentially do that forever and ever and never die. But at least for Diablo 4, there are just certain points in the game where you're just gonna like get one shot and not even have time to do that. So it would be like, oh shit, the butcher spawned, and I know I can't kill him. I don't have the gear. Just run away real quick and fucking Alt F4 or whatever. I kind of think that's Everyone has their own opinion on that, though. I think that's kind of lame. That's just me, though. So I think that the potions and stuff, giving you resistances to try to not die, is cool. I don't think, it just adds another layer to the game. You have to farm, and you have to get that to know that you're not 100% good, but you're better than you are without the potions. That's for sure. I think that's all fine. And they don't seem that hard to like craft, and you usually get a bunch of them in the dungeons anyway, or enough where you like don't run out unless you're playing the game like 24/7 kind of thing. Just spamming dungeons nonstop. But yeah, you're probably not doing that, so I think it's fine. But yeah, the Alt F4 kind of thing is like whatever, man. It's not like
protects you for the entire run. Yeah, it's passive versus active, exactly.
I wouldn't turn hardcore into hard chore, where we have to do the renown.
Hard chore.
I really don't understand why this makes hardcore harder to mindlessly grind the renown again.
Hard
they
chore.
changed this.
I love that.
You certainly shouldn't make changes just based off of me, but the first thing that I thought when I read this was, will I ever race in an SSF hardcore race ever again? Because I want to fight the Ubers on hardcore. I want to race on hardcore, but I don't want to do the renown again. I hate doing the renown.
Yeah,
I've done the renown in the alpha, and then the next alpha, and then the closed beta, and then the open beta, and then the next open beta, and then the launch, and then season 1.
It's not an issue.
Do it again.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much repetitiveness. Like, the thing about seasons is you got to make the new ones feel fresh, and just making people do the same shit over and over again is fucking dog shit. It's just dog shit. Everyone knows it. There's no sugarcoating it. It's fucking trash. How do you fix that? You create new content and new pathways to hit max level, or like a new part of the campaign, something that is fresh and gives players incentives to want to work towards the goal of leveling and hitting cap and playing endgame, which, by the way, I called since day one that Diablo endgame was going to be Resident Sleeper. But yeah, it's just how it is. That's just how it is, man.
My opinion, but don't get this one. I don't get that. I hope Blizzard changes their mind on this if I'm reading this correctly. You can now mark an item as favorite. God, that's so much better than marking it as junk. You can also still mark as junk if you want, but now you can...
Yeah, locking items is something people have wanted ever since the beginning of the game. Yeah. How about cheat death only working 10 seconds after activation? That would probably be okay too. Yeah, I think that like it's about basically the cheat death stuff that's bad is whenever it's not being done in reaction to a specific outcome. Like overall, like you guys know my perspective on hardcore content, right? I think it's stupid. I don't like it. Playing a video game on hardcore takes away the entire purpose of playing a video game to me.
Okay.
Because I play video games to relax, and hardcore isn't relaxing. It's stressful. So, like, I'm really not part of this community. I don't enjoy this. I actively dislike it. So, like, whatever they want, they should just do what the hardcore community wants.
Yeah.
Like, my opinion of a cheat death potion, if everybody in the hardcore community wants a cheat death potion and they think that's fair, then just do it. This is just my perspective.
That's fair too. I think a big part of a good game is just listening to the community, and a lot of the times that's a bad thing. But if majority of the players of your player base is asking for something, then it's probably a good idea. Whether it's your vision or not for the game is another story. But yeah, at the end of the day, you make the players happy. They play the game. It's pretty simple. It's not rocket science. It's not a complicated formula. And I think there's two situations. The first situation is the devs don't listen to anyone, and the game sucks. It continues to suck. They don't give a fuck, and fuck everyone, and have a nice day. Fuck you. You're gonna play it anyway, and that's bad. The second situation is they listen to players, but it's the wrong players, and then everyone's fucking miserable. Because that's like they listen to like the 2% of the population instead of listening to the majority of the population, and everyone's upset.
Mark it as a favorite. Wouldn't it make way more sense to mark the 2 or 3 items that are good and salvage the garbage than mark everything that's garbage? Try to hopefully hold on to the 2 or 3 things that's good. Doesn't make sense. So this is way better. 2 additional character slots have been added. Well, I was gonna have to delete a level 100 character to play, so that's nice.
That's also bad. Like, you should be putting in the game like enough character spots to like fucking let players, play. Like, you have to consider alts because people are like, there's some real tryhards. You really gotta like make sure that they're not like deleting characters that they spend so much time on, blah blah blah, because that'll make them not play the game either. It's like, damn, I'm just gonna have to delete this character, and I spent like how many hours on it to get to like Paragon 100. Fuck this game. So
they are gonna give you
always good to add slots. I don't know why they don't do that. Should always do that.
Okay, they're gonna make this easier to complete the campaign. Okay, they're gonna give you additional waypoints as well. Prevented wasted minion and companion attacks by ensuring minions and companions no longer target invulnerable enemies.
This is a very big positive. This happened for me a lot with my my necromancer. It was so fucking annoying, man. Like, they would be attacking the one thing that they can't attack, and they're all there hitting it. It's fucking obnoxious. Yeah.
I didn't hear that. Did they share that on the thing? This is great news for Necros.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, Necros with the vampire minion powers in this are not going to be attacking dumb shit anymore.
Yeah, but they don't have the thing is, like, I'm not going to play a necromancer again unless they have autoplay. Like, now that I've seen the quality of life that having automatic corpse explosions and corpse destruction and mob spawning, like, I'm done.
You're not going back.
Add that back to Necro, or I'm not playing this shit again. That was so good.
Okay. Mounts.
I didn't have to do anything.
Yeah, some people like not doing anything. Some people don't. That just depends on who you ask. They should look at the stats and see who does, who doesn't, kind of thing. And go from there. That's just one of those things, though. Some players are gonna like it, some players aren't. I don't know the numbers on that. Not gonna pretend like I do. But yeah, I mean, again, I think that just comes down to like that. I want to feel powerful in the game, and if I don't feel powerful, then I'm not having fun. And if you feeling powerful means that you don't press buttons, then that's it. Pretty simple how that works. It's all very simple.
They ride faster, and the most important thing
can't go back.
is that their speedy cooldown has been reduced by 50%. So you can activate it more, which means you can essentially sprint on your horse infinitely.
Yeah.
And now they can break through barricades, and they also dramatically improve the maneuvering of the mounts. Well, this is the right time to make this change. Well, the right time would have been on the actual launch of the game, but
yeah, true.
now that they're doing the massive overhaul,
oh god, don't mention that.
People
dude.
are probably dreading riding on your mount. Well, now it's going to be a lot better. It's going to move a lot faster. You can sprint all the time. You can break through stuff and turn better. Town adjustments, they just made towns way better.
Where's my rank 1 heal?
They put stashes everywhere.
Sorry, I'm also playing.
They
WoW,
put the NPCs closer to the waypoints. They put an occultist by the Tree of Whispers, which is the best waypoint in the game.
Yeah.
On the UI, they have a stash search and filtering function, and you can search through all tabs at once. There's a streamer mode. This one's huge. This one's pretty massive. This was the first change that
This was the change that I saw that made me think that the developers actually played the game. Because, like, you would have to play the game a lot for this to be annoying to you.
ever asked for in Diablo 4. The very first one. First thing I ever wrote down on a piece of paper in the alpha. When an item drops, let's say it's strength, cooldown, attack speed, crit. And then the next one is strength, cooldown, attack speed, and int. The order in which the affixes are presented on the items.
Yeah, it makes it harder for you to parse out items.
Doesn't have a hierarchy. It's random. So it's so hard to compare side by side which item is better. We need them to have the same order. And now it sounds like
they're finally doing it.
So now we can actually compare items.
This is a good thing.
Very good. Once we get our loot filter and all these other changes, will actually probably be an okay experience in Diablo 4. So that's huge. They're going to improve the grouping. Now you have the ability to auto run. You can now zoom out on the mini map. Of course, the next follow-up.
While they're adding all this stuff, I do think they should add WASD to the game. I don't really think I feel like Diablo 4, it's made for boomers, right? And making people like constantly click over and over and over.
It's actually good.
It's like auto run doesn't really solve this problem. I just think that you ask somebody who's like 38 to do that, or like 43 to do that, it's kind of hard to do. It's like there's gonna be a higher chance that their hand is gonna hurt after doing that for a while.
Okay.
I don't see why you can't add WASD support. Like, how is it a bad thing that WASD is in the game? Controller's good for that? Well, why not just add WASD? Yeah, it's just like, yeah, it really makes no sense. Exactly. Like, yeah. Like, I can understand people that are saying that I'd still use click to move. Okay, great, then use it. But, like, I don't think that you should have to use click to move. Would it even work with an ARPG? Yeah, Diablo Immortal has it, and it was fine. I literally don't...
Yeah, honestly, the way you want to move or navigate should be however you want. Who cares if it's click, whatever the fuck it is. I mean, the more accessibility for players who have a certain play style or whatever, that's great. Like, who fucking cares?
Play because my index finger is inflamed.
You want. That's why. I mean, it's the same reason why they don't make games like fucking require like 4K or 4 series, GPUs and all this shit. It's because you want as much accessibility to the game as possible. So, it's the same reason why I'm sure if you look at statistics of, even computer games that let you use controller versus those that don't, the ones that let you use a controller probably have more people that play it because they just like playing on a controller. Yeah,
I'm sure that's the case for some people.
There are other reasons too, because those games are usually fewer buttons, whatever. And people like simple games that they can be good at and not suck at. But yeah, I think we get the point here.
Accessibility these days too. Yeah, I was like really surprised that like Diablo 4 didn't have WASD. It's like weird. A lot of people are saying they don't want it or they don't need it, but no one is saying why it's a bad thing. Well, that's because it's not a bad thing. Suction. There's no negative to it at
God
all.
Force, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that.
It's just that some people don't like using it, and so I'm not saying you should take out click to move. I'm just saying you should have WASD as well.
Yeah, I mean that's fine.
Question is, when will they let us zoom out more in the game? You can hide all combat text, vulnerable, dodge, fortified.
Dude, camera zoom is a huge thing too. They really, I mean, that's like, wow. If I can only play the character from here, I'm hating life. The fact that I can zoom out nice and wide to see everything what's going on, to be aware of my surroundings, love that. Would very much not like that if I couldn't. Yeah.
You can see unique items better.
There are other things I need to work on though first, for sure.
Stuff. So this is the first part of the stream. The second 2 hours will be, they changed all the uniques in the game. They said almost every unique in the game got changed, which I take to mean got buffed, except for maybe some.
Which is great, because I would say like 9 out of 10 uniques is garbage.
Yes.
Like, I know for Barbarian, there's like 2 uniques that are kind of good, and the rest of them are just completely bad, and most Barbarians don't use any of them.
True.
OP ones.
Yeah, it's going pretty good, Godforce. How about you?
Resistances and how that all works. They changed crit and vulnerability. They have a totally new idea there. And they tease that they have a bunch of other stuff planned for 2 hours. So there's probably going to be a tidal wave of information on the 10th. So we come here and we say, okay, well, with the new season theme, with all the powers, with the new bosses and the target farming and the new eye levels up to 920 and the massive improvements to all the overworld activities and the increased gold that they give you and the reduced gold from the
playing Classic Wrath. Nice. I just
and from the
actually just finished playing Classic Wrath myself. I had a raid tonight.
And from not having to do a ton of the
what's your main
objectives anymore, and for buffing the events inside Nightmare Dungeons and giving you the higher XP on the glyphs and porting you directly inside and fixing the
dude Thursdays and Mondays here. You're gonna love it because we're doing ICC clears Thursday and Monday. It's gonna be a grind too because we used to be 99 parser guild and now we're like a dad guild. But the good thing is I'm getting Shadowmourne first, so that is pretty fucking nice. It's gonna be a lot of fun. My Death Knight's a pumper, so a lot of fun for sure.
Really, these are a lot of changes that improve the quality of playing the game. And I think that these are changes that are arrived at after you play the game for a long time.
I feel like you play like a maybe like a priest, or maybe you play a priest or a paladin maybe with the name Godforce. I don't know though.
And you deal with little annoyances like this, and that's why I'm very positive about Blizzard doing it. I'm extremely positive.
Oh, nice. Well, you came to the right stream, man.
Like I hope that this kind of stuff happens, and it happens more often. I hope this is the beginning of Blizzard actually make.
What server are you on? That's actually really cool. I'm on Faralina Horde. Tried Paladin? Oh, okay. Yeah, Paladin's cool, but I mean, if you like DPSing, Ret Paladin's just bad. But
making changes because certain things in the game don't play well.
Yeah.
And I think that's all something takes. Is like if something doesn't play well, then it's a problem. Yeah. Do you think crunch led to the devs not playing the game?
I think we get the gist of the video. I mean, nothing that I've heard is going to make me want to play D4 again, though. I think the only thing that's gonna make me play D4 again maybe is like the rune ward system, if they bring that into effect, and it doesn't seem like they're going to anytime soon. At least maybe not for another few seasons or something. So we'll have to stay tuned for that.